Big Muddy Mayhem, the podcast where we talk about true crime and bad behavior in the Midwest.
Each week, we'll bring you 2 stories from the heartland that might break your heart, but we hope to entertain you along the way.
I'm Janet O'Brien.
I'm Tracey and Janet.
Hello!
Howdy, Janet. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Great.
Yay.
So this will come out to our listeners just after Christmas.
Yes,
we
it
hope
will.
that everybody had wonderful holidays. Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Blessed Solstice.
Exactly.
Happy
Kwanzaa, yep.
I think that's usually, it's a couple of days after, right?
Right, I think so,
So
yes.
we might be, and, well, whatever it is that you're doing this time of year, we hope that you're having a nice time with it and that you've gotten to, be around friends and family.
Yeah, and we wish everybody a Happy New Year because with it's coming.
I was going to say, so, this will be our last episode for 2021.
Not 2021.
Oh, geez, how many years did I lost? If we had an editor, this is where I'd be like, could you cut that out?
We will say bon voyage to 2023.
Indeed. 2024. Okay.
So we have some stories.
We do have some stories, and I believe that mine is the first one.
Yes, it is.
And we are going to, speaking of not knowing what year it is, I'm going to take us in a little bit way back here.
Okay.
And, well, yeah, Tracey, because we don't actually ever talk about future murders.
Yet.
But the story that I have today is one that I had never heard of before.
Okay.
But, man, every time that I thought that I had reached the end of it, there was just like a little bit more and a little bit more.
Oh, wow.
I am going to tell you the story of Steven Kubacki.
Okay.
It is 1978.
Okay.
Steven Kubacki is a student at Hope College in Holland, Michigan. He's studying history. People describe him as bright, intense, weird, and he's kind of a Dungeons and Dragon guy. He studied overseas. He's a little anti-establishment. He's involved with a political zine. Remember when there were underground zines on campus? Yeah. And he made a video saying he doesn't like life in the U.S. and he would rather live in Europe.
Okay.
So, we've all known this person that spends like 2 semesters abroad and then becomes an entirely different human being.
Right.
So there's a little bit about that. And it might have been because he had better luck with the ladies over in Europe.
Okay.
Rumor has it that he had actually a few girlfriends there. 1 in France, 2 in Germany, one of which we're pretty sure was one of his professors.
Oh, interesting.
So he doesn't live on campus. He's kind of free-spirited. And he does not live on campus, but he does have a roommate.
Uh-huh.
And so his family also describes him as an avid outdoorsman. He is a mountain climber. He's a cross-country skier. And I am going to pull up right now for you a photo of Steven Kubacki. And I want you to go ahead and tell me what it is that you like seeing.
It just looks, I know it's
It's
the
1978.
70s. At 78, he kind of looks like he's almost from the 60s. He's got the thick, dark, short hair. He's got the thick rim, dark
Buddy Holly
Buddy Holly
glasses.
glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just looks like normal dude. You know?
And he's not slight of build, but he's, not a big guy either. Like 5'10", kind of slender, very outdoorsy. So anyway, because he's very outdoorsy, it's not unusual when in February 1978, he lets his family, his friends, and his classmates, his roommate know he's going to go on a solo overnight cross-country skiing trip.
Okay.
This is not unusual for him. This is something that he has done multiple times.
Gotcha.
Roommate notes that he's really excited about it. So he sets out on Saturday, February 18th.
Okay.
Now, the reason that I'm noting this date, there's a ton of snow.
Okay.
There had been a blizzard the week before, So the lake, and this is Lake Michigan.
Okay.
The lake is mostly frozen over.
Yes, it
Because
does.
all of my
yeah.
stories have to take part, or have to be along Lake Michigan. So the lake is mostly frozen over. He leaves on Saturday. Sunday night, he doesn't come home.
Oh.
Roommate is noticing that and kind of a little bit, I don't know. But it's like, surely he'll be back in time for class tomorrow morning. Or maybe he's going to ditch a class.
Right.
This kid is like just a few credits shy of graduating.
Okay.
So maybe he's got senioritis.
Right, exactly.
Monday, February 20th, some local snowmobilers call in. They have found something suspicious.
Uh-oh.
They have found Steven's gear.
Oh.
He has a pair of cross-country skis. They have SRK, his initials on them, so monogrammed cross-country skis. And they are set neatly, like kind of parallel to one another in the snow. The ski poles that you use for cross-country skiing are upright in the snow on either side of the skis.
Interesting.
And on top of the skis is Steven's backpack.
Oh.
They identified it as his backpack by a dentist bill that was like stuffed into the front pocket. I mean, how much stuff just lives in your bag.
Exactly.
Yeah. Also, in the bag, there are gloves.
Uh-huh.
There's a sack lunch. And just some basic supplies, like, I think like a flint and a compass, just the sort of things that you would keep in a backpack if you went out into the woods a lot.
Absolutely.
All right. There are also one set of fresh tracks in the snow. So the snowmobilers, they see this, and they go out about 200 yards, but the tracks go out onto the frozen lake. And then they stop, abruptly. The snowmobilers, they don't make it all the way down the track. They stop and they're like, the ice is looking a little iffy.
Yeah.
Let's go back and call the authorities.
Right.
And so they do. They double back, they call for help. The authorities get there, they initiate a search. They ask friends, family. Nobody has seen him. Nobody has heard from him. Roommate says that it's not unusual for him to travel at the last minute.
Oh.
But the roommate probably would have been informed because Steven had often borrowed money from him when he was going on a last minute travel.
Gotcha.
And he had never indicated that he was going to do anything other than this ski trip that he was looking forward to. So he says, Steven would have told me if he had taken off to travel, I'd loaned him money before. The brother says that it's weird that his backpack wasn't with him. That even if Steven took off his skis and
he'd still have his backpack.
tread out onto the ice, he would carry the backpack with him because it would have the compass, supplies, etc. The abrupt stoppage of the tracks, the lack of return tracks. The police think that he's probably fallen through the ice. My goodness, I'm sorry. Land and air searches go out, but there's no Steven and there's no remains that are ever found.
Gotcha.
So, Steven would have told his roommate if he had gone off. They do all of the searches. There are no remains. There's no sign of Steven. Now, that doesn't mean that his parents are willing to accept that something has happened.
Oh.
The authorities kind of say, well, probably from everything that we can guess, looks to me like the only explanation is that he might have fallen through the ice and drowned.
Oh my God.
But his parents spend a small fortune on detectives. The brother, his brother says, he really liked it over in Germany. Well, he had girls there.
Right.
Check flights to Germany. They check the flights, no luck. Nothing there. He is presumed but never declared deceased.
Oh my gosh.
His degree is given to him by the college in absentia because he was only a couple of credits away from graduating. So they do that kind of, it's a token.
Right.
According to the police report, it's 16 pages long and a whole lot of it is redacted.
Oh my.
There was a female student that stopped going to classes around the time that he went missing She was despondent. She might have threatened suicide.
Oh.
And she, might have written a note. And then shortly thereafter, she went to go live with her aunt. Her name is redacted, and I'm afraid that's the last that we're going to hear about her.
No,
all right, so noted, but we're moving on.
Right.
But there's no reason for Steven to have gone missing.
No, not at all.
He was really close to graduation. He was making great grades in school. He was doing well with girls. May I refer you to the 3 European girlfriends? His dad was just about to sign over the family house to him. I guess maybe they were going to buy a new one, but his family was wealthy,
Yeah.
So he's just about to inherit a house. And he wanted to be a writer. You remember the zine?
Yes.
So he had also just gotten a job with the local paper, and it was all lined up for him.
Wow.
I mean, the world is his
Yeah,
oyster.
absolutely.
There is no reason to run away from this man's life.
Nope.
However, come spring, the police check to see if any remains of thought, anything has surfaced. Right. Still nothing. They even sent his dental records to Chicago because, remember, this is 78, 79, and they thought that maybe he had hitchhiked out and become a victim of John Wayne Gacy.
Oh, no.
So they look as far away as Chicago. There is a nationwide search for this man. There is nothing that we can find out about him. This trail is ice cold. Until May 5th, 1979. Steven Kubacki is in a field in Pittsfield, Massachusetts.
Okay.
He wakes up in this field. He is not dead. He is alive.
What?
Uh-huh.
What the hell?
Well, he has been gone over 14 months.
Yeah.
He is 700 miles away from where he was last known to have been.
Wow.
And he has no recollection of what has happened to him or why he's been away that long. He remembers nothing.
Wow.
He remembers nothing. He doesn't realize how long he's been missing. He doesn't know where he is or when he is.
Wow.
He is full-on Marty McFly.
Holy cow.
Right? He goes into town, kind of follows the road to all right, well, it looks like stuff is this way.
Sure.
Buys a newspaper and realizes it's been 14 months. Wow. He doesn't recognize the clothes he is wearing, his shoes, etc. None of the things that, remember, they found his pack with...
Yeah.
Well, he's found with, he comes to with another pack, and in his possession, new eyeglasses that are the correct prescription.
Mm-hmm.
New shoes.
Okay.
A backpack that is full of maps, hitchhiking signs, hey, you're a bust. Well, everything seems to indicate that he has been to Sacramento, San Francisco, Reno, Nevada, Chicago, and Utah.
Wow.
He also has $40 in cash.
Okay.
And he's wearing a t-shirt that says Pavo Nurmi Marathon, which is a marathon that takes place in Wisconsin.
Okay.
He would later say he has no recollection of having competed in a marathon, but that he did have new shoes, and he also felt like he had been running a lot.
Oh.
So his next steps, as he figures out kind of what it is, he hitches a ride out of town from a student of a nearby college. His name is Ron Curtis.
Okay.
So a lot of what we know right now is from interviews that were held with Ron.
Gotcha.
Stephen notes that he's got an aunt in the area along Route 7, and Ron is going to take him to her house.
Right, absolutely.
All right. So he tells Ron along the way that he's visiting a friend, not his aunt, a friend. And he says that he's bringing them news of a mutual acquaintance who has been missing for some time.
Oh.
Also, Stephen introduces himself to Ron as Nathan.
Interesting.
He says that he was in San Francisco, but he flew back, and then he took the bus from Boston to Pittsfield, and that the bus cost $8.
Wow.
Now, later they would look into it, and the fare, that checks out.
Oh, wow.
A bus from Boston. So, like, at least that
Yes.
checks out. He also says, according to Ron, that he had gone to San Francisco to study with a, quote, Eastern religion cult in the Bay Area. End quote. But they said, he said, I wasn't there to join, I was just there to learn. Mm-hmm. So I love how your face just belies that you have no idea where this is going. Because that's what the story is. All right. So he has Ron drop him off in town, and he walks the last stretch to his aunt's house. Now, she's not home, but she is off visiting friends over at the, it's 1979. She's probably smoking a Pall Mall on the porch. Yes. Or a Virginia Slim.
Right, exactly.
And they're talking about what happened in their stories, right? So she recognizes him, and she understandably freaks out. Her presumed dead nephew is standing on her porch in the flesh.
Holy cow.
So they call his parents. They immediately come to be reunited with their son. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to show you a picture of, the reunion.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
It's so freaky when they get reunited.
So that's Steven hugging his father, and they are just they never thought they'd see this day.
Right, absolutely.
Right. He doesn't have any explanation, and they don't ask for one.
Okay.
His dad says, I'm not going to push him.
Right.
His mother says, the world is a great place again.
Good.
So they are just happy to welcome him home. Steven says he recalls nothing. He thinks that maybe he had something like mountain climbers sometimes get due to exposure in cold leading to memory loss.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
For 14 months?
Yeah, that seems like a lot.
He says that he's going to go see a physician for a physical, and he does do that.
Good.
But he refuses a psychiatrist.
Uh-oh.
He says he only recalls darkness, cold, and fear of being lost, and that he couldn't understand all the hugs and kisses because he didn't feel like he'd been gone that long.
Wow.
So later he said that he would consider hypnosis and he might retrace his steps.
Right.
But then he flips again and says, no, I'm just glad to be home. I have no interest in knowing what happened.
Okay.
He then refuses interviews, won't speak to anyone at all about any of his ordeal.
Right.
Right. So this is he goes on. And, he's got his degree in absentia, but he does, I think, go back and, earn another degree and goes on to become a psychologist.
Okay.
Living in Seattle.
Okay.
This is the origin story of Frasier.
It is.
So he is, as of right now, he is still alive. He is a psychologist living in Seattle. Here's a picture of Steven today.
Oh my God. He looks a little cross-eyed.
A little bit. That's not a good picture.
No. I think he is a lazy guy, probably. But yeah, he just looks like
a normal middle-aged guy
with glasses.
If you walked into a psychologist's office and he was like, hi, I'm Dr. Steven.
You'd be like, okay.
So the theories. Some people think that he was making it all up and he just kind of went on the lam for a bit for one reason or another. But man, he had so much stacked in his favor.
Yeah.
Some people think that he went through a portal. If you want a whole new rabbit hole, you guys know I'm the cynic on this podcast. Search for Michigan Triangle.
Okay, and now I need to look that up. There's a Michigan
akin to the Bermuda Triangle. Yeah, well, if
it.
you need a whole new rabbit hole, you're welcome. The guy from Ancient Aliens, by the way, thinks that is what happened to him.
Oh my God.
Some people think that it might have been a dissociative state.
Yeah, right.
Or a psychogenic trance.
Sure.
But he has no prior history and no subsequent history of dissociative identity disorder.
Wow.
So, I mean, by all accounts, although he never went for a psych evaluation as far as we know, by all accounts, nothing weird has happened. There's no more from that. Very few people look into this whole story. In fact, to this day, Steven Kubacki does not have a Wikipedia page.
Huh.
Which, hey, listeners, this is the first time I'm not going to cite Wikipedia for my story. Most notably amongst the people that do look into it is a reporter named Ellen Killerin. She meets with no luck. The dean of college is dead by the time she's looking into it. The roommate and Steven's ex-wife refuse to talk to her. His parents have passed away. She does track down the aunt, who slams a door in her face and won't talk about it.
Wow.
She said the aunt looked frightened.
Interesting.
So
all
what
we
the
hell happened?
Nobody knows, Janet.
That's so crazy.
The only person that would know is Steven Kubacki, and he's not talking.
Wow.
But we're not done with twists
Oh,
yet.
of course not.
This was kind of what turned my story from a shorter one to a long one.
Okay.
Janet.
Tracey.
After 45 years of silence, he has apparently joined up with an author named Dylan James Quarles, and they are contacting publishers and putting together a book that is going to tell the whole story. He has also given an interview there's been an interview given with both Steven and the author of the book.
Okay.
It's on a YouTube channel called Missing Enigma, which is one of my sources. So this book, they talk about it on his personal website, stevenkubacki.com. I'm going to go ahead and we'll link that in the show notes as well. The story apparently involves, quote, a revolutionary organization, an idealistic terrorist in training named Nathan T. Stanfield.
What?
Remember how he gave the name
Yes.
Nathan?
Yeah.
The French Foreign Legion.
What?
And a young man's struggle to find meaning during a turbulent time.
What the hell?
I will pre-order.
Yeah, no kidding.
If the robot lords are listening, put that in my... If this reaches a publisher, I'm going to read this book. So there are no answers. The book is still not out. An interview has been done recently, and then stories about the book coming out, that's all within the last year. So
wow.
This is very, very,
that
very
is crazy.
recent. And that is the puzzling and still unsolved, but maybe hopefully soon solved, case of Steven Kubacki.
Oh my God.
My sources for this episode, again, Ellen Killerin did almost all of the good research for this. She has at ellenkillerin.substack.com, also a blog called Cold Dead Hands. Therewastv.com was a website. My YouTube channels were Missing Enigma, as I mentioned before.
Right.
And The Lore Lodge. Both of them did very good YouTube episodes about the case that tell you a little bit. And then also, finally, Steven's own website, stevenkubacki.com.
Oh my God. That is such a crazy story.
Oh, that is...
Wow.
Like I said, the missing was fine. And then they turned up 14 months later.
And you're like, I'm sorry, what?
That's when I was like, this is my story. And then as I was doing the research, I'm like, there's an update. There's an update from 5 months ago.
That is so crazy. I really like that story.
Thank you.
So crazy. Yeah. Right. Well, maybe the book will come out and we'll know. Right?
When it does, we might have to revisit.
Yes.
We might need to come back for this one.
Absolutely.
All right.
So
you've got one for me?
I do. So in the tradition of all of these podcasts, it seems like Tracey and I always seem to have a similar thing happening. Like, they're like, what were we thinking the same thing this week? I don't know. Because she's skeptical, and I can't say the word today. But I picked a story that she will definitely be
skeptical about.
Exactly.
Oh.
But there's some psychology behind it.
Our podcast cycles are syncing up.
It's so Excuse me. So, all right. Okay. So this is about the Hopkinsville Goblins case.
Is this the real life Gremlins?
Also known as the Kelly Greenman case.
Okay. I really hope that Hopkinsville Goblin isn't what they called this poor woman.
No.
Oh, there goes
Exactly.
You know Kelly, the Hopkinsville Goblin.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So in 1955, this is the time it takes place. It happens near Kelly and Hopkinsville, Kentucky in Christian County.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So there is very significant and well-documented case of this UFO sighting.
Okay.
The skeptics, they say it was the reason why it was so well documented, and the reason why so many people were talking about it. It's one big family that talked about it. It was the effects of excitement.
Mass hysteria.
Exactly. And misinformation of natural phenomenons such as I will just leave that out because I don't want to ruin the story.
Okay.
The U.S. Air Force eventually did classify this as a hoax. So let's start here. On August 21st of 1955, there were 5 adults and 7 children. They all drove over to the Hopkinsville police station.
Okay.
They were claiming that they had small alien creatures from a spaceship. They were attacking the farmhouse they were at.
Sure, Jan. Yeah.
They had been holding them off the attacks with gunfire for nearly 4 hours.
Mm-hmm. And then to defend the farmhouse, they just all decided to leave and go to the cops together? Why send 12 when one would do?
2 of the adults, Elmer Sutton and Billy Ray Taylor, said they were shooting at a few small, dark figurines that kept popping up in the doorway and peering into their windows.
I don't want to cast aspersions immediately on Elmer and Billy Ray and their game of whack-a-mole, but my eyebrow is raised.
The Kentucky New Era, that was a newspaper, was the first newspaper to report on this, and they changed the number of aliens or whatever they were from 12 to 15. So it's like the media started to kind of run with this.
Right, and then
like originally
it's a game of telephone, yeah.
Right, originally it was just small gray, and then eventually it became green. They were green now. So just whoever was reporting kind of took off with it. Billy Ray, he stated that he was walking back from the well, because they had a well there, to get a glass of water, and he saw a round metallic object with a rainbow-colored streaks behind it in the sky, and it landed below the tree line. And he was like, what was that? So when he went back inside, he ends up telling the whole family this. And the family are like, he tells them again, they all start laughing at him, like, what are you talking about? Oh my God, right?
Billy Ray mistook the still for the well again.
So he ends up grabbing Elmer. And he's like, come on, you gotta come outside, you gotta see this, right? So they go outside and to walk back to the well, and they can kind of see some glowing behind the trees a little, and they're like, what is that? And then all of a sudden they see a human-like creature that's about somewhere between 2 to 4 foot tall, with glowing yellow eyes.
Mm.
And they're like, what is that? So, of course, Billy Ray immediately puts 2 and 2 together in his head. Now, you have to understand that there were a couple of sci-fi things that had recently come out.
Okay. Go on.
So, they went inside and started shooting at him. And they would come to the door, and they would come to the window, and they were shooting. And sometimes when they would shoot, they would actually hear like a metal sound, like it was hitting what Billy Ray just assumed was a spaceship. Mm-hmm. So when they told the police this, the police were concerned that maybe there was a possible gun battle between citizens. They should probably go check that out.
Although I hear if you hit 10 of them, you get a teddy bear.
I wanted the gigantic Garfield, Tracey.
That's right. Save them up. Trade in 5 small to win a large.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the police decided to send out 4 of the police officers. They ended up grabbing 5 state troopers, 3 deputy sheriffs, and then 4 military officers from Fort Campbell. That's the Army base, not Air Force. To go to the farmhouse that was near Kelly, Kentucky. Okay. They only found as evidence of gunfire, like holes in the windows and door screens.
Okay.
And then around, let's see here, the residents of the house, I'll go through the people. We have Glennie Langford. It's her house.
Okay.
Okay. And she's got her children there. She is Lonnie, Charlton, and Mary. And then she's got 2 sons from a previous marriage. And that is Elmer Lucky Sutton. That's the one guy that went outside. And John Charlie J.C. Sutton. And their wives, Vera and Eileen. And then Eileen is, there's so many people. You know,
I know.
Country families, right? Eileen's brother, O.P. Barker, and Billy Ray's wife, June. So you have to understand 2 of the people here. We have Elmer, that was the one who ended up calling Billy Ray, and John Charlie J.C. They both worked for traveling carnivals. So they were in town.
Okay, yeah. Coming and going, kind of. Exactly. Yeah, like dropping by, like drifter lifestyle.
Exactly. So Lucky and Vera... Oh, wait a minute. No, it was Lucky and Vera, his wife. They were the carny workers. Oh, okay. They were visiting. And then the neighbors told the 2 officers that because after they did this, they went back to the house and they tried to go to sleep. And then the family, the neighbors around, nearby, they said around 3:30 in the morning, they ended up packing up to leave because it started up again. They started shooting at whatever was attacking their house, right? So the family just left. They left the farmhouse. There was widespread coverage in the local and national press. Early articles, like I stated before, they were just considered little men, and then it ended up turning green.
Little green men!
Exactly! The estimate was about 2 to 4 feet tall. They had large pointy ears, claw-like hands, eyes that glowed yellow, and spindly legs. Now you have to tell me.
I see you looking for I was really just about to ask for one.
Okay. There's that.
Okay. They look in this photo a little bit more silver, like kind of a little more metallic.
Right.
Almost like if you were going to build a kind of robot alien with, again, large, yellowish eyes on either side of the head that kind of, they look a little bit more to me like blinker lights on the hood of a car, right? They're set way to the side.
Yes, exactly.
Like the way that you would, you know how like
a fish.
Like animals that are preyed upon have a tendency to have eyes on the side of their head, and then predatory animals up to the front.
Right.
These guys are like preyed upon. So if that's any indication.
Absolutely. Okay. But they did state that when they would try to shoot at them, they would like float away. Okay. So they would kind of float away. They would get up on the roof. They would, poke their heads up around, through the window or whatever. It's whack-a-mole. Okay. Yeah. So here's the explanation. Okay. There's some psychologists, Rodney Schnatz and Scott Lilienfeld. They cite this as an example of pseudoscience, and this is how they use this particular story to help their students develop critical thinking.
Oh, okay.
So they suggest that there was drinking involved. However, all of the family said that the owner of the house, Glennie, she did not allow drinking or cussing on.
Well, I will not stand by and let you besmirch Elmer and Billy Ray by saying that they could have been out in the woods drinking, ma'am.
What? Exactly. They said, but when the cops went there and they looked at everything, there was nothing indicating that anybody...
No booze, no...
Exactly.
Right. You would have to have a jug or some kind of...
Right, there was nothing.
The recycling didn't get picked up, you know.
Right. And what the belief is that they were actually misidentified eagle owls or great horned owls.
Oh, no.
Okay, so here again, look at the picture.
Okay, I could see that. And that's what a great horned owl looks like. Oh my gosh. Kind of like
spindly legs.
Right. The big yellow eyes off, kind of like, well, I mean, owls are like birds of prey, but still, like, their eyes are kind of wide set.
Exactly. And their eyes glow in the dark. You know, they look yellow when you have a flashlight or whatever, right? Yeah. And apparently they're nocturnal. They fly silent. So when they would float, they have yellow eyes, and they aggressively defend their nest.
I'm Team Owl on this one. I think that's what happened.
So also that evening, when he said that there was something, a thing in the sky with rainbow behind it, there was a reported meteor in the area.
Oh, so it might have just been a meteor shower or some kind of lights in the sky. And because the lights were in the sky, you can see in relief, this big winged thing.
Right, exactly.
Right.
And also the owls are about 2 foot tall.
Completely.
So, I can't find who quoted this. I will put it in the notes later, but it says there are simply too many similarities between creatures reported by the families and the aggressive pair of local horned owls, great horned owls, which do stand about 2/3 of a meter tall.
Right.
So most likely that's what happened.
You hear the same thing, like you've heard people talk about Mothman.
Right, yes.
A lot of people think it's is it like a harpy eagle? There's some kind of eagle that is the same sort of size and shape, and they think that a lot of the quote-unquote Mothman sightings are probably just these large birds.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That you only see at night.
Right. And then lastly, the thing that got me to where I'm like, well, I read a few different things about this, and the way the story lines up is that she didn't believe him. She said, oh yeah, when Lucky has something set on his mind, there's no changing it otherwise. So, he sees the thing come out of the sky.
It was an alien. I swear it was an alien.
And he kept telling her, why don't you put the children to bed? She did. She's like, what are you shooting at? And there were some questions about well, why didn't they try to call the cops or do something? And it's like, these are country boys. What's the first thing are they going to do?
Well, go get my gun.
Exactly. So they were probably shooting at owls that were they probably walked out there, disturbed a nest, didn't realize it, and the great horned owls are like, oh, these people are going down. We're going to mess with them. And, so most likely that is what happened. Now, I'm not doing this now because it doesn't exist anymore, but as of up until 2019, they still were having a Little Green Man festival there.
Oh!
It's really what I want to do. I do my What's Nice on, but
cute.
Yeah, they don't.
Oh, well, maybe one day they'll bring it back.
Exactly.
Once we're rich and famous, we can implore them.
Yeah, they've actually been trying to, there's a Facebook page, and they've been trying to talk it back up. Come on. I'm sure it was killed off by the pandemic because the last one was in 2019.
Well, maybe we can share it and some of our listeners can put their votes in for the owls or the aliens. I mean, Team Owl, Team Alien, wherever you are.
But really, we haven't heard much from this family since then. But it was a really, really big deal. And, I think what happened is that he just convinced everybody there was a thing happening outside and they were going to take care of it.
And then, I saw it too.
Right. And then 3:30 in the morning, you're tired. Mm-hmm. You're like, why is it happening again? Okay, we're leaving.
Absolutely. Wow.
So that is my story.
That is a wild ride, although you are right. I remain the skeptic on this podcast.
And sometimes I'm not that skeptical, but this one... All right. So I think this is where we should take a break, right?
This is where we take a little pause, and we'll be right back with What's Nice.
We'll be back with What's Nice.
If you like being a Mighty Buddy, here are some additional ways that you can help support the podcast. We have merch available, and the link to our storefront is available in the show notes. You can also support us through our Patreon to help offset the costs of producing and publishing this show. And, of course, we would love it if you would give us a 5-star rating and a kind review. Now, we are going to return for What's Nice. Welcome back, and now it's time for What's Nice.
Welcome back. Yay.
All right, fantastic. Janet, I have got something in Holland, Michigan. The story, there was a 700-mile spread, but we started where Steven Kubacki went to college and went missing. In Holland, Michigan,
yes,
which, as the name might indicate,
I think I know where you're going. Keep
going. Is a very, very, very Dutch town.
Yes, it is.
And they are also home to the Tulip Time Festival.
Yes, they are.
I don't know about this.
Very much so. Remember, my parents lived in Detroit for 3 summers.
Right. So, okay, well, for all of y'all not in the know, like I was, the Tulip Time Festival is it's been held since 1927. It's in Holland, Michigan. It started as part of a beautification project where the town got over 100,000 tulip bulbs directly from the Netherlands.
Oh, neat.
And this was at a time when the Netherlands had very strict export rules about... Well, because of the whole tulip mania, like in the late, 1800s?
It was they were considered money, basically.
Right.
Yes.
So here is a photo from the Tulip Time Festival. So they have gone through a few different iterations since 1927 when they started. It is now an 8-day festival that takes place in mid-May to coincide with the blooms of the tulips. And they have concerts, they have klumpen dancing, which is clog dancing with the wooden shoes, and they have all the charm of a small town festival. They begin each Tulip Time Festival starts with street scrubbing.
Street scrubbing? Explain that. So, I don't know anything about that.
Have you ever, even in Dutchtown, St. Louis, where we live now, have you ever heard of the term scrubby Dutch?
Yes.
Okay. Scrubby Dutch is what they called either Dutch houses or Dutch neighborhoods because the people that were Dutch immigrants were incredibly clean and also very, very concerned with the outside look of their house. So they would scrub their front porches and their stairs and even their sidewalks and things like that. So the street festival... starts with street scrubbing, and it is, I've got a postcard picture to show you here. Women in the town go out, it's never the men, but the women in the town go out in traditional Dutch dress with push brooms and mops.
Oh my God!
And they literally scrub the streets to make sure that the entire town is putting its best face forward.
Oh my gosh, wow.
For the festival. Now, in 1965, added to this festival was the Diswan windmill.
Okay.
And so this is a windmill that they really had to prove why they needed it here, that this was a town of Dutch heritage. So it's an authentic historic windmill.
Really?
That was brought over from the Netherlands.
I'm sure my dad already knows this, but go ahead.
You can go and tour it here.
Neat. Awesome.
And so it was installed and repaired and kind of brought to functioning in 1965. And I'm giving you for once information about something that is actually in time for you to make plans for.
Yay!
That is that, again, this is mid-May
Yep.
that the festival is held. And in 2024, in our new year, they are going to be celebrating their 95th
Oh, neat. Awesome.
Tulip Time Festival. So
I don't see any trips in my future.
absolutely beautiful. So you can go and you can watch people scrub the streets. You can look at tulips. You can go in a windmill.
I will post actually some pictures because my parents have been there in the past 5 years. They just went to go.
Oh my gosh.
And so we have some pictures of them looking at the tulips and in one of the stores where my dad is standing in some oversized wooden shoes on purpose.
Mama and Papa Janet, please. I want to see these pictures.
I will post them on the Facebook page.
Absolutely. So that was my what's
That's
nice.
awesome. You know, at the very, very beginning of your story, and you said Holland, Michigan, I'm like, please be the Tulip Festival. Please be the Tulip Festival. Please be the
Well,
Tulip
I'm glad we
Festival.
got there. And what about what's nice for you?
So mine's a little short, but, you know, there's not a lot happening in Hopkinsville, Kentucky. Like I said, I really wanted to do the Little Green Man Festival. That would have been so perfect.
I know. Well, we will petition.
Right. So, in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, there is the Pennyroyal Scuba Center. There is basically a quarry that they have filled up, and you can go take classes there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, get your hours in for scuba diving, and they even train teachers there as well. So it's located at Blue Springs Park in Hopkinsville. You can learn how to dive. You can get, the two different things you can get is an SSI, which is a Scuba Schools International, or a PADI, P-A-D-I, Professional Association of Diving Instructors class. Okay. So they offer the two different classes. The quarry itself, if you're just doing the student, you only go down about 20 feet. But if you're advanced, you can go down as far as 150
right, because
feet.
they've got the depth to do it, and in kind of a smaller, controlled environment.
Right. They do offer primitive camping, and RVs can camp there, and they have electrical hookup. And it's about $28 a day if you just go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I'm going to show you some pictures of the quarry.
Do we know anyone that has done...
Yeah, we do.
I was going to say, I know that we've got a few friends that have done scuba, and I feel like wow, okay, so that is like a very big, and you can tell from the darkness of the water, a very, very deep quarry.
Yep. Yeah.
However, it also is like entirely enclosed, so you aren't going to like get swept out to sea, or it looks like a wonderful place to learn.
Right, so that's, isn't it pretty?
So pretty.
But yeah, so that's, you can go to Hopkinsville, Kentucky and take classes and get your scuba diving, certificate or whatever it is.
I do love the water.
I know, right?
I don't know, I guess I'd have to give that some thought if I would do scuba or not. I think that I would do...
But I just thought that sounded fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
it's like in Kentucky. Really? Okay.
Sure. Just remember to put the scuba and the bourbon in the correct order.
Correct. Well, I think we're done with our What's Nice.
We are, and this is our final podcast for the year. Thank you for going on this adventure with us, Muddy Buddies.
Yeah, happy 10 episode. This is our 10th episode. Yay!
10th episode, so it's only been a little bit, but it already feels like something that we want to keep doing and that we really love sharing with you. So... wow, Happy New Year. Thanks for listening. Please continue to listen.
Yes, absolutely. And we will have many more stories for 2024. We're very excited to share those with you. Yay.
Fantastic.
So I think this is where we sign off.
And this is where we remind you that you should stay Midwest nice. We're all over each other. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Stay Midwest nice!